We are back with a recap of the Browns actually winning a game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home in overtime by the final score of 23-17. Throughout the game, there were still cart marks visible on the field from the person who, vandalized the field by driving around in a cart. I know it is vandalism because you saw it and you saw the marks on there, but I feel like there's a different crime that should be associated with like just getting a golf cart and having a joyride on the field. I feel like that could be like maybe like whatever a lesser version of Grand Theft Auto is, maybe like Grand Kart Auto or something like Grand Theft Golf Cart. I think that could be a thing. But anyway, as far as the game goes, I feel like the defense played a tremendous game, kind of flipping the script on what the Browns have usually been. Especially with missing Greg Newsome and also having AJ Green going down, when the game pretty early on in the game's early stages. Thomas Graham getting some snaps at cornerback. He hasn't really been doing really much of anything on defense. I think he's been on special teams, but he hasn't been asked to play a significant role on defense. He was kind of thrown in there, and I feel like the secondary did its pretty good job. Although Denzel Ward did have his off moments, some of his play, not just this game, but throughout the season, has been a little concerning, especially given that the Browns just signed him to a pretty huge extension. So hopefully Denzel Ward can start to pick up the play a little bit. But the real star of the secondary in this game was MJ Emerson, having a tremendous performance against Mike Evans. And not just this game, but this entire season, he has been kind of an oasis in a desert when it comes to the secondary, which has been kind of viewed as having players that have mostly underperformed, and I think rightfully so. I feel like they have earned that reputation, but Martin Emerson has been pretty solid all season, so hopefully he can continue his really good play. And this is the second year in a row now that the Browns have found a rookie to have really a really good season in the secondary. Last year, Greg Newsome having the solid season that he did, and now this year it's Martin Emerson. The fact that the Browns are able to find him in the third round and he's playing this important and prominent of a role this early and thriving in it, I think is really healthy for the Browns moving forward. The defensive line today was really noticeable as well. I believe it was Jordan Elliott having a sack at the defensive tackle position. So anytime a defensive tackle on this roster does anything of note, it's an upgrade from what they usually do. Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett had a throwback to last season. I feel like how they played in this game was a more of like what the Browns were expecting what the Browns were expecting of them after last season heading into this year. They haven't had as many tandem games where they're just killing it like they were today. Some of that has been due to injury luck and just bad things, but some of them has just been maybe they're not playing at full they're not playing at full capacity like they can be during at the same time. So hopefully the Browns defensive line can keep this up and keep this going moving forward. I thought that JOK had some really nice plays and run support, and I thought the linebacking core and Deion Jones, Taki, and Tony Fields, they all had pretty good games as well. Rashad White, I think that's how you pronounce his name, on the Buccaneers did have 4.5 yards per carry, but Tampa Bay didn't really commit to him all that much. I think he only got 14 carries. So if they were planning on beating the Browns through the air, and they just really couldn't do it. So credit to the Browns defense for shutting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers down in that aspect. As far as the offensive goes, there was another opening drive touchdown, this one on an Anthony Schwartz reverse end around. So I guess with this play, I guess the front office can justify him having a roster spot for the next 5 years. So looking forward to that. But Tampa Bay answering with one of their own, and at this point in the game, after the two teams trade opening drive touchdowns, it looked like this game might be a shootout. Although we have seen the Browns score an opening drive touchdown and then falter out, and then after that drive, York following up with a 51-yard field goal, and it's getting a little deja vu because on that drive they were kind of driving. I think a penalty killed that drive as well. So maybe a bit of like last week where they come out, they're playing like their hair's on fire. They're driving the ball. They're scoring some points, but then as the game goes on, their offense gets less and less impactful. And that's what would happen. But also Tampa Bay's offense got shut down too. So this time it wasn't just the Browns, going limp on offense. It was also the Buccaneers. I was impressed by both defenses. I didn't think the offenses were playing too terribly. I just thought that both of the defenses came up ready to play to shut down Tampa Bay's defensive line, causing problems all game with Vita Vea and Carl Nassib, who is a former Brown, but he's also been around a few teams now. They were wrecking balls on the defensive line. The Browns' offensive line having a really rough game for the majority of this contest. The end of the half defensive collapse only resulting in a field goal. So they would go into halftime tied 10-10. On the drive before that, Cade York had a really concerning miss from 39 yards out. It was just it went. I don't even know if that thing hit the net. Maybe he was concerned about the Tampa Bay rush coming off of the side there. I know that Cade York has had a few of his kicks get blocked as of late, but it was not a good kick for sure. It definitely didn't even look good from the outset. You knew immediately as soon as that ball was kicked that it was going way wide left. I thought Tampa Bay's touchdown drive in the third quarter was going to kind of open the dam of the Browns defense and get Tampa Bay's scoring going, but the defense continued to hold firm. It would continue that way throughout the third quarter and into the fourth quarter. And then Amari Cooper had a back-breaking drop on a fourth down attempt, really out of character for him. Not even just the season, but he had a pretty solid game throughout the whole game, but just that one play just didn't work out for him. He had that back-breaking drop, and that's when you think, oh, that's, this is where the Browns fall apart. But still, the defense, once again, holding up, doing its job to give the Browns one last shot, and they take advantage of it by the skin of their teeth. David Njoku with a tremendous catch on fourth down. It was, the Browns were down to their last play that they could have used to try to tie the game. Maybe they could have got a first down, but David Njoku, with one-handed, snags it in the end zone, comes down with it, takes the fall, survives the ground, whatever the NFL wants to do to satisfy the catch rule now. He did that, and that sent the game to overtime, where the defense survived not one, but two Tom Brady overtime drives. Again, hats off to them and the secondary for taking care of business and making sure that the Tampa Bay offense stayed in check. And then Carlton Davis for the Buccaneers falling down, defending Amari Cooper, who is wide open, takes that reception all the way down to the 3-yard line, setting up Nick Chubb's touchdown run. I do like the philosophy of Kevin Stefanski of not sending Cade York out there immediately to kick the field goal because, again, he was shaky on his last one. You don't want to be the coach who sends the kicker out there when you don't have to, and then he just shanks like a 29-yard kick or something, and then you have egg on your face. Not a good look. Give it to Nick Chubb to get 3 yards 3 times and then maybe try kicking a field goal, I think is a much better plan. And Nick Chubb did pay dividends on that choice, and I think he was going to anyway. Jacoby Brissett getting a win over former teammate in Tom Brady in what could be the last time we see Jacoby on the field this season for the Browns, as next week Deshaun Watson is eligible to return, and I think as much as the Browns invested in him and his future moving forward, I wouldn't be surprised if they got him in the lineup and playing as soon as possible. So the Browns this season is still technically alive. They're going to be on the playoff graphic in the hunt for a little bit now. But even if they win out and they end up with a 10-7 record, I still don't know if that gets it done into the wild card. If anything, the consolation is that Houston's first-round pick isn't as good if you go 10-7. So there's that, I guess. Houston can't celebrate as hard, although I still think they're looking at the Browns' 4-7 record right now and feeling pretty darn good about having this first-round pick and then a first-round pick for the next couple years after this. That's a whole different story. But anyway, I think that Nick Chubb had a really nice game. I think the stat where it's like, oh yeah, every time he gets 20-plus carries, the Browns win the game. I don't know if that's necessarily like automatically the case. I think that might be a little bit of a misleading stat. But I do think it does point to when the offensive philosophy is that Nick Chubb is going to be the focal point of the offense, then the offense usually goes better. The offense usually, it runs on a higher HP. It runs more smoothly when Nick Chubb is the focal point. And usually if Nick Chubb's the focal point, then he's getting 20 or more carries per game. Not necessarily that, if you just give Nick Chubb 20 carries in the first 20 or 21 plays and you're going to automatically win. Just that if the offense runs through Nick Chubb, it's probably going to go smoothly more often than not. So anyway, again, for the Browns, this is going to be about the future now. Deshaun Watson can play, and I'm sure the fans in Houston will definitely be very respectful, and they'll definitely keep calm for the homecoming for Deshaun Watson. That is sarcasm. I'm sure they'll have their best comedy material ready for the game next Sunday. So thank you all for watching. If you made it this far, please feel free to leave a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed the video and you would like to see more like it. Let me know what you thought about this game down in the comments. This video was uploaded later than it usually is because I've been dealing with some Thanksgiving travel back and forth from some places. But anyway, I will see you at the next one.